The Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, Kinda Power. I love the power. I love the power.
Hey everyone, I am Macca 19 and this is the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast coming to you live on Port Fan Radio. Joining me this evening is the great man, Fishing Dylan. How are you, mate?
Yeah, g'day guys. How's that vegan diet going for me? Bloody terrible. I've stopped doing it. I'm eating Parma and chips every fucking night, alright?
There you go. Put on 10 kilos already, mate.
Yeah, well, it was worth it because veganism is horrible.
It is. It literally is. Yes. Yeah, sorry, Rick.
Sorry,
but we are right.
Yeah, how you going, Macca?
Good, mate. Good. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, glad to be here.
That's it. Well, let's get straight into it, and we'll do a love and hate for the game on the weekend. One thing we loved, one thing we hated about Port Adelaide. You can start, mate. What was your love?
Well, there wasn't a lot to pick from, to be honest with you. So my love, I'm not sure if the TV cameras picked this up because I couldn't find a highlight of it, but Charlie Dixon laid some poor St Kilda sod out, and it was the biggest slap you'd ever heard. I think it was in the forward 50, and it was like, for one thing you can take away from pre-season games, it's not usually intensity, so it was nice to see a bit of a classic bump from a big man like him.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that was in the game. I don't reckon I saw it personally, but or if the TV cameras picked it up, but I did lose interest about 5 minutes into the first quarter. So
yeah, it would have been a little while after that, so yeah. I'm not sure any of our listeners would have seen it either.
Yeah. That's fair enough. I loved the cameo of some of our younger guys. I loved Bonner's pep and his want to take the game on. I thought that was really good. Just needs to be a little bit more composed, but his creativity and his run is really impressive.
Yeah, that dash through the middle was a bloody highlight for me.
That was great. That was literally the best thing, the only good thing that happened in the game, I think.
It was a shame the kick let him down because it was such a great run.
Yeah,
I didn't realise he
let
had
him down
that
a
pace
few
on
times,
him.
I think, but if he can solve that issue, he's going to be an absolute star. Also thought Sam Powell-Pepper showed some really decent signs throughout the game. Dan Houston in a new role down back was really impressive. I loved his ball use and really liked what Joe Atley and Johnson showed in their glimpses. They didn't get a lot of game time. And whilst not young, Brett Eddy led and really marked well up forward as well.
Yeah, Houston was a surprise to me. Obviously, living in Melbourne, you don't get to watch a lot of the Magpies games, but I always heard that he was a forward, and I was like, is that Dan Houston? Is that Dan Houston, the halfback? And it was nice to see him get a bit of ball, even though I still feel like we still have heaps of back flankers. It's surprised to see us switch it up and put another guy on the back flank, but I thought he was pretty composed when he had it, so
yeah,
I'd be happy to see him given another pre-season game or two. Yeah, maybe sure. Even battle for that round one selection. Yeah,
he's got a bit of Greg Bentley about him. I'm not sure if that's a great thing, but he certainly reminds me of Greg. But yeah, it was good to see him play in a new role. He certainly played up forward, kind of on a forward flank, mostly for the Maggies last year. So obviously he's been training down back and obviously doing a pretty good job. So yeah, good on him. What was your hate?
We got a backup plan, I guess, if Hartlett down back doesn't go well.
Yeah, that's it.
Superstar midfielder.
That's right.
Hamish Hartlett, halfback.
Yeah.
Well, my hate, I think, mostly it was just something that stood out for me. It was just the continual dropping of marks under no pressure. Yeah. No contest at all. We just, time and time again, just keep seeing guys drop marks. It's elementary stuff. I understand it's the first hit out of pre-season, but, I mean, come on, I could mark those balls. There's no pressure at all. How hard is it?
It's not that difficult. Look, the skills were pretty shit house, to be honest, for much of the game. And I guess we'll get into that in more detail a bit later. But all the missed kicks, the kicks over heads, drop marks, missed handballs. It was not a clean night for the Port Adelaide Footy Club. That's for sure.
Yeah.
My hate is Nathan Cracker. I said numerous times last year I thought he should be delisted. I didn't rate his season at all last year, and we decided to go the other way and offer him a promotion to the senior list. And You know what? After last year when he let the club down and got himself king hit at 2 a.m. Whilst drinking and missed the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, you'd think he'd make sure he put every foot right this pre-season. And now he misses round 1 for a late head-high bump, which was completely unnecessary. And it's just not good enough. And he's not a 20-year-old kid anymore. He's 27, 28. He's one of the oldest players on the list, and this sort of rubbish just shouldn't be on.
Well, yeah, that, and I'm surprised to see him up forward when we have a guy like Jake Need, and I personally have never... I keep giving Jake Need shit. I think we all think he's like, he's good, he gives a lot of pressure, but doesn't do much else, doesn't get goals. But Crack is like the anti-Need in that way, that there's no pressure at all, and he's got the good skills and stuff, but in the modern game, your small forwards have really... pressure is like a non-negotiable, and he's... I don't know whether it's through fitness base or mentally, he doesn't really strike me as the guy who's going to step up his game to move forward and be that sort of pressure small forward, like Jake Need is, for example.
Yeah, that's fair. What did he get? 6 kicks and 0 goals too. He did lay 5 tackles, that was quite nice, but you certainly want a bit more than what he showed on the weekend.
Yeah. And now he's not got the chance to play. Actually, that's a weird one, though. I'm surprised he's suspended for round 1 and not just the next pre-season game.
Yeah, I think they used to do that. They used to suspend people for pre-season games, and then I guess they thought it wasn't big enough a penalty. So
it makes sense either way because they sort of swap the squads out, but at the same time, I don't know, it feels a bit unnecessary, a bit harsh.
Yeah, that's it. On to some questions from the people on Big Footy. The first one's from Papagallo, and this is a really contentious issue, I think. I think the jumper issue for the China game needs a bit of attention. It's kind of flying under the radar at the moment. What are your thoughts on the Chinese Gold Coast colours, mate?
Look, if this was something that was such a big issue to us, I'm surprised that it wasn't ironed out in a contract earlier. And Koshi mentioned as well that it was in the contract, but we're not seeing that. We're not seeing any contract or any evidence of this. On the flip side, though, I don't know why Gold Coast care so much about wearing their home jumper. I mean, what are they marketing to? It's not like they're going to grow in China. They haven't got the clinics going. They haven't got the groundwork going. So what do they get out of wearing their home? It's such a weird issue to me.
Yeah, it's a storm in a teacup for mine. Does it really matter if half the crowd end up supporting Gold Coast because of their colours? Does that really matter on the day? I don't really think it does. I'm not sure what the issue is going to be, whether our plan was to get 20,000 Chinese members signed up or something and suddenly Gold Coast are going to steal half of them. I just don't see what the big issue is going to be. I guess for Gold Coast, they're going to view it as a bit of a bonus situation that they get to play in a country where the Chinese colours are the same as their own colours. So for them, I guess they're going to see it as a bit more extra press or promotion or something like that, which will be good for them. But for us, honestly, does it really matter?
Well, yeah, I mean, if it gets more people into the game, then that's beneficial to us in the long term anyway. I mean, we might not even play Gold Coast next year if we play there again. So, and we'll be the team with the clinics on the ground, where the people sending over players, coaches, continually to just garner community support.
Yeah.
So, eventually, maybe they might take a liking to Gold Coast because of the colours, but that's it. That's really surface level stuff. If anyone gets into it beyond that, if their kid wants to start playing the sport, Port Adelaide's going to be the team that's there. So it's not really... I wouldn't have thought it was much of an issue, but Koshi's blowing up about it, so maybe it is a bigger deal than I'm thinking.
I don't know. I'm not sure it is. I think they're barking up the wrong tree with this one, but I guess they'll sort it out in due time. And look, whether they wear their home Guernsey or their white clash Guernsey, I'm not too fussed, to be honest.
I think we know what the solution here is to get us in the prison bars.
That's it. Absolutely.
That's the solution to any jumper-related issue. It's got precedent, so get us in the prison bars. I mean, has China got to not like them? Impossible, because everyone loves the prison bars. Greatest jumper ever. I'm
sure they've got prisons over there as well, so I'm sure it'll suit them too. Oh, God. Johns has asked a great question. What's the right type of gravy for a steak, a chicken palmy, and pork?
Look, this might be very controversial and basic of me, but I'm not much of a gravy guy in the first place.
Yeah.
So my contribution to this is completely null. I'm a stay away from gravy, don't mind a bit of gravy, but if I can have it without, I'll go without gravy.
Yeah. Look, I'm not big on gravy either. Certainly not with steak, and definitely not at a pub where you get that coagulated mucus, which they call gravy.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just
horrendous.
a big brown sludge, right?
Yeah. For a steak, I'd be more looking for a red wine jus or something like that, to be honest, than more of a traditional gravy. Certainly with a chicken parmy, I mean, obviously the parmy sauce and the cheese is self-explanatory there. I guess with a schnitty, again, some sort of thin gravy would be all right, as opposed to coagulated mucus. And pork, I think a really good thing to have with pork is if you combine cider, onions with pan juices, a little bit of honey, some mustard seeds, a bit of thyme and some fennel seeds as well. That's a really nice, delicious gravy to have with some roast pork.
Well, there you go, guys. There's your recipe.
That's it.
Can
Forget
someone
about
let
your
us know
Gravox.
next week?
Get into your pan juices. That's the way to go. CT Power has asked a question: what is an acceptable win-loss count after the first 4 rounds?
Do you know what the fixture is? I've heard it's tough, but I've forgotten.
It's Sydney and GWS away, and Freo and the Crows at home.
Acceptable 1 and 3, I would have thought. We can beat Adelaide or Freo.
Yeah. I would think 2 and 2 would be par for me. I think we should beat Freo. Even though they'll improve this year, I think we should still beat them at home. And we should be a big chance to beat the Crows as well. And look, if we can go 2 and 2 from there, I'd be pretty happy, pretty content with that. If we go 1 and 3, I think we're a little bit under.
I should qualify that by saying that's probably my expectation. If we're 1 and 3, I'll be sort of fine with it. But
yeah,
if we don't place above like 6th or so, I'll still be disappointed this season. So 2 and 2 would probably be like, that's where I want us to be, but I don't think it'll happen. So my expectations are lowered. I would say if we get a win out of that, it'd be well enough. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's talk about Thursday night. It was the Power's first run out for season 2017 against St Kilda at Etihad Stadium, and after a pretty horrific start, we clawed the Saints back to lose by just a single point, 57 to 56. We were pretty wasteful in front of goal. We kicked 7 goals 14 to the Saints 8 goals 9. Carl Amon was the only multiple goal scorer with 2 goals. And I guess we'll split this up into 2 sections. I prefer to talk about the positives out of the game first. What did you like the look of, mate? Is it going well so far?
I like the look of Jacko in the ruck again, which is not something I wanted to say because we did have Paddy Ryder and Lobie in there, but he was once again still had that spring in his step. It was really exciting. And he had that big clearance goal, I think was out of the ruck as well. So Jacko was a positive for me. Yep. And like you said before, those young guys like Bonner and Powell Pepper, I saw a lot of them, in bits at least. You know, they had big highlights, showed off their strengths. Like, Powell Pepper was just a machine in the middle. Yeah. It was just like watching Ollie Wines. Bloody wonderful to see that. Yeah. And Chad Wingard, I think he had a pretty good game. Contributed up front, applied a lot of pressure, got a bit of the ball.
Yep. I thought Chad was pretty good as well. I thought defensively we held up pretty well, I thought. Especially after quarter time, we kept them to just 4 goals 4. And considering we conceded 4 goals in the first quarter, I thought we really tightened up down back, and especially through the midfield as well. I thought Homshi was great. He was clearly best on ground. I thought Cleary had good too. Yeah, he was great. Cleary was pretty underrated, I thought. He was pretty good on McCartan. Houston, we've already spoken about. He was pretty good as well. And I thought once we got into the rhythm, we did actually start to play quite well as the game went along, and our ability to move the ball from that defensive 50 into the forward line was okay, or maybe not into the forward line, but the kick before the forward line was pretty good. And I really did like the fact that we took some risks with our ball movement, and I didn't think we were all that predictable. I thought we really changed up how we sort of got to the forward line. And obviously the form of Homsch in his first game back from such a long layoff was great. Chad was good through the midfield. I thought Boak had a really good game. And that's probably about it for the positives, to be honest. What about the negatives, mate? What were some issues out there?
Like I said before, just the general skill errors and the uncontested drop marks was an issue. Decision making sometimes was a bit off. The main one that stood out for me was Justin Westhoff. At some point he had it in the back pocket under pressure. Easy dish off for Jasper Pittard was available, but he let it go and he slammed it on the boot for no reason, and it got turned over by Jake Carlisle, and I think it resulted in a goal. And it's like, I know you're rusty, but it's still classic Port Adelaide, classic Westhoff at this point to just be making these basic brain fades that are just unnecessary, especially when you've got our best halfback running past you. I mean, it's simple, just dish it off.
Yeah. Although the amount of times we kicked over someone's head or kicked it out on the full, or, like Jackson Trengove took a wonderful mark on the wing and then absolutely shanked the kick, which went straight down the throat of a Saints player. I think that turnover caused a goal as well, but look, I mean, as we said, we've got a pretty tough start to the season, and I would have loved to have seen, as I said last week, I wanted to see us ready to play, ready to go come round one, and we look far from that at this point.
I can understand the negativity of people. People say, "Oh, it's just a pre-season game," but this is just another game and a continuation of 2 years of really mediocre football, and you just expect something different.
Exactly right.
Chat the pre-season, we're really working hard to it, and we're making changes, but then you see that sort of effort where what happened was St Kilda had all the key stats in the first quarter, and they were dominating us on the scoreboard. I think that's the only reason we got back within it is because they just sort of led us, I guess.
Yeah. Look, Saints weren't all that clean, especially through the second half. They made a fair few mistakes as well, and look, you can probably write off the first quarter as cleaning out the cobwebs and all that if you're going to make excuses. But, the last couple of years we've said, it doesn't matter, it's only pre-season, we'll be right when the real stuff starts after some pretty poor pre-season games the last 2 years. But, you know what, we haven't been, and we've had pretty terrible seasons. So, after our talk last week that we wanted to see us play clean footy and determined footy, that first quarter was laughable, absolutely laughable. And our skills improved a bit as the game wore on, but as I said, the number of times we shanked a kick was a bit beyond a joke at one point there.
Yeah, no, it wasn't fun to watch, to be honest. That's why I was gladly just dripping into the beers by about quarter time and thinking, all right, pre-season game hasn't gone our way.
How were the beers?
Watered down and not very good.
Okay. What was the price?
Just like the real Port Adelaide versus what we're getting right now.
That's it. What was the price?
Mate, free. Just free.
Free?
Inside sauce at Etihad Stadium.
Oh.
So keep that on
tap
the
of the nose,
hush.
That's good. I like that.
Wonderful.
Also, as I said, I thought our transition footy was really good up until that final kick inside 50, which was absolutely horrendous and one-dimensional. And the amount of times we still kicked it long to Dixon, just like we did last year, and how there was still 3 or 4 opponents on him, and he was able to have absolutely zero impact on the game once again for about the 10th game in a row. Was not good enough. It was entirely predictable, and we've certainly got to work on our entries inside 50.
Same sort of deliveries as well, where they put it on his head expecting him to be the contested machine, but he needs to get him lace out. That's how we functioned with Jay Schultz for 2 years, where we just shot up the ladder because he was able to hit them. Every time he took a mark, it was like a classic dive. He would take it and dive into the ground. That was like iconic Jay Schultz, and you don't really see us ever get an inside 50 like that anymore.
No, that's right, and that's what Eddie brought to the table. I thought through that second half was his ability to lead and take a grab on the lead was very, very good and very Schultz-like. And it's a real sort of conundrum with Dixon because obviously he's a decent contested mark when he's not got 5 people on him and he can sort of play one-on-one, but for a big guy who's 200 centimetres and 100 kilos, he's really bloody quick, and he's very, very good on a lead. It amazes me that A, he doesn't lead as much, and B, we don't sort of try and force him to lead a bit more often.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell if it's instruction or if it's just his natural game. Because we were working, like I said, we were working with Schultz doing a lot of repeat leads, a lot of leading, lots of marks on the lead. Why Hinkley would change from that sort of thing, I don't know. So maybe it is just Dixon not doing the leading. He might, you know, he was recruited on his physical specimen, I think, more than his footy smarts. Not to say that he's a bad footballer, but it might just be that he isn't as natural a forward as someone like Jay Schultz. So if we can work on that, that'd be good. But who's our forward coach now? It's Matthew Nix, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it's Nix, yeah.
So we've got a guy who's a career defender up there. There's not a lot of confidence that they can probably turn it around. But
no, probably not.
I hope so.
Yeah, would be good. The form of some of the senior guys was also disappointing. Ebert barely got a touch. Hammer stuffed up about 5 times in a row in the first quarter, and then barely saw the bowl after that. Westhoff turned it over all night. Dixon did nothing. Pittard was sloppy. Ryder had his moments, but overall probably was a bit quiet for his first game back, even though he only played a half. And Lobie still couldn't win a hit out, so still some issues there with some of those senior players.
Yeah, Hartlett and Westhoff were my most concerning ones. It's the same guys who last year people were calling for their heads. It's just sort of like the same story. And Travis Boak, who has just become a shadow of what he used to be. He had our most touches on ground, but there was no impact with them. Disposal.
I thought he was
great.
okay. I thought he did a lot of grunt work inside. And probably didn't get the chance to sort of work free, but that's probably been a criticism for a long time now of Travis.
Yeah, he seemed to get pretty easily blocked in the middle and bumped off the ball before he could get a chance to get to it. So I don't know if that's down to him or if it's just the lack of support in midfield.
Yeah.
But like I said, we've had this debates for years now.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Same old.
So who were your best players, mate?
I said Jacko was very good. Chad Wingard as well. Liked Ollie Wines again. He was just doing heaps of grunt work. Real nice to watch. And Pomsch, best on ground probably. I'm trying to think who else stood out, but Eddie and I liked Ryder. Looking now, it seems like he didn't get a lot of the ball, but I noticed that he had a couple of shots up front, which was a good sign.
Yeah.
Even if he couldn't make much of an impact in the ruck, he's probably going to take a few weeks to probably get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be better.
Yeah. I thought, obviously, Holmestra was best on ground, playing his more sort of natural role as that being able to read the kick, come in and take those intercept marks. He was wonderful. I think he took something like 7 intercept marks for the evening. Boak was my second best. I thought he was sloppy early, but liked his inside work and thought he was one of our cleaner midfielders as the game went on. Amon played very, very wide. Surprised he wasn't at the bar with you at some points there, mate. But he used the ball really well.
I liked him as well.
Yeah, he kicked a couple of nice goals as well, and it's going to be interesting to see what role he has this year, whether he continues to play that sort of forward flank or moves a bit further up the ground, and whether he's actually in the starting team or not.
Well, a lot of his impact probably depends on how our midfield goes as a whole, because he's not going to be the guy who's in the guts winning it.
Yeah.
It'll sort of depend on how he works defensively and how we work defensively, just to, make use of him and get him into space. So if we can get a lot of turnovers and we can find him in space, he can really shine because his disposal is elite, in my opinion.
It is very good, yeah. Another one with elite disposal was Dan Houston. I thought he was defensively very strong, kicked it 100%, was really sure with the ball in his hands and looked like he knew what to do and actually looked like a 3rd or 4th year player out there. He played sort of 40 or 50 games as opposed to a 19-year-old kid playing his first game at that sort of level and speed. And Ollie Wines was really good in the midfield. A lot of inside work, was in and under all night. And probably wasn't a great game by Ollie, but it was certainly a good one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Houston is, look, if he can keep that up, he's definitely in contention because I believe we have a couple of spots for rookies to open up because
We do. Yep.
our list is a bit short. So, look, if he can keep it up, definitely, I hope he takes advantage of that and gets a game.
For sure. Some individual players. What did you like of Riley Bonner? Obviously, there was a huge run and bounce through the midfield where he put the afterburners on and laid out a big kick inside 50. Did you like his game, and do you think he's going to be in the side come round one?
I didn't see a lot of him, to be honest with you, but I think with his great ball use and his dash through the middle, I mean, he's obviously a chance to complement Jasper Pittard, but as we were just talking about, Dan Houston, I think maybe them two are in competition for the spot, and Broadbent, when he comes back, he didn't get a game this week, but him as well. So there's a lot of spots in that halfback. Hamish Hartlett probably will play, but he's definitely going to get a few games this year, that's for sure. I mean, we've shipped off Cam O'Shea, we've shipped off Paul Stewart, who sort of sometimes played forward when he was getting a game, but still, it's another halfback flanker.
Cracker's likely to play out forward.
Cracker's not in defence anymore. If he plays, Jarman Impey's a forward now apparently. So, look, I reckon he'll definitely, if he can run it out and if he can get some good form going, I'd be happy if we pumped in half a season to him.
Yeah.
Like
do you think his lack of defensive play affected Hamish Hartlett's game?
Look, I think my biggest concern with Hartlett's game was just the amount of errors he made.
Yeah.
I don't think they could have been down to teammates. I think they were mostly individual mistakes. So, look, I didn't see much of Riley's defensive efforts, if I'm honest with you. He didn't stand out as much, so maybe it was. Did you think that?
Look, it's possible. I think Janus brought it up on the forum, and I think it's certainly possible because Bonner probably didn't do a thing defensively, to be honest. But he was playing more of that sort of Pittard type role where he just is sort of feeded the ball and asked to sort of run and create. I don't think it's a good thing if Hartlett's going to play down back and only get 8 touches a game. I think that will be an absolute disaster. If Hartlett's going to play down back, he really needs to get 25 touches a game to justify that move. But look, I would be pretty happy if Bonner plays round one. Whether there's a spot there available with Burne-Jones and Broadbent to come back into the side, I'm not too sure, but I think he's definitely going to be there or thereabouts throughout the year.
Sorry, mate, did we just cut out?
Yeah, but that's all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Just say yes, I agree, and that'll be fine.
The Hartlett move to halfback is something I'm not really sure about. I mean, like, I'd rather have his career make or break in the midfield.
Yeah.
I don't get the point of him playing halfback. He's not ever been extremely proficient at it, so we've got guys I'd rather play there, like Pittard and Bonner. Broadbent, even, I think, still a bit more adept at the role than Hartlett is. So,
for sure.
Look, if his body can't stand up to it, then trade him. It's just not worth hanging on to the
I think we tried.
Keep trying. Look, just persist with him where he's going to shine, where he has the most natural talent, or just keep trying. If you can't trade him, keep trying, or drop him. Because he's just the guy
who's play him on a forward flank where he can kick goals.
Well, yeah, he's just got to keep playing. I don't think we're ever going to drop him. It seems to be Hinkley just has too much faith in these guys and doesn't see much point in dropping them. So that's him taking away games from potentially a Riley Bonner or a Dan Houston who can be a part of the future in that defense.
Yeah. I'll make a statement now and say that we won't win a premiership with Hamish Hartlett playing on a back flank.
There you go. I agree with that.
Sam Powell-Pepper, obviously the most talked about player in our pre-season. Great name, ready to go body. The first impact he had on the game was ironing out Nick Riewoldt in a big hip and shoulder. Did a few really nice things as well. Used the ball pretty well. Was really composed with his handballing and used his strength to advantage a few times. How did you see his game on the night?
Really, really encouraging. Can I just cut away and say my favourite part about him so far has been how every time he's been snapped, he's not smiling.
Yeah.
All social media posts with him, he's just got the most grim, straightforward expression on his face. So that even off field, that sort of seriousness is just like, that's awesome to see.
I like that.
Yeah, look, just watching him sort of reminds you of Ollie Lyons. He's so strong. It's hard to take him down. That sort of thing is like extremely encouraging. So if he's fit, I'd be happy to see him in the team all year.
Yep, for sure. Tom Cleary, do you think he starts at fullback come round one?
I'd like to see us roll with the tall forwards of Cleary, Austin, and Homsch. I'm not sure where Jonas sits at this point, but I didn't like his game that much. Still got the same skill errors going on. He's so defender at this point. He used to be very good. I used to love watching his defensive efforts, and now it's just like you're expecting him to make a mistake, expecting him to make a gaffe somewhere.
Yeah.
So, look, I'd be happy to walk up with that three. Yeah, Cleary could definitely start.
I think so. I think Cleary should start. I think Austin, if he's fit and ready to play, should be at full back, and certainly Homsch in his more natural sort of third tall defender role would be great. Jonas, he's one I missed out on talking about when I said the senior players were poor. He was really poor. Defensively, he got absolutely hammered. Didn't do much with the ball. He certainly didn't look like a senior player out there, that's for sure.
3 years, Macca. 3 years. 3 years, man. What was the point of that contract? I mean, the Lobie one was one thing, but this is the most bizarre contract I've probably seen in my time.
He looked every bit a player that hasn't played a game of footy for 9 months.
Yeah. What happened? Did we ever get a word on what happened to him after he got suspended?
I don't know. Didn't he hurt his hip or something, or hip or hamstring? I think it was.
It wasn't well publicised. I can't remember. He got suspended, and we were expecting him to maybe come back. He just never played again.
Yeah.
Now, since 2015, he's fallen off so hard, and it's so disappointing because he had that real cult figure sort of aura around him. Everyone loved him, and now I wish we hadn't given him a contract.
Yeah. Look, he was so dependable. Like, it's the same as Cam O'Shea. Like, he looked like leading that defence for years to come, and being part of a real premiership crack. And he played really great footy in 13 and 14, and then fell off the face of the earth.
He could play tall and short, and you could expect him to do a job on Taylor Walker, and then the next week match him on it.
Mark Murphy, yeah.
Mark Murphy, something like that. Maybe even give him a run through the midfield, right? He was so versatile. And he's just, I don't even know who I'd match him up on. I always fear to look at the team sheets and think, who is Jonas going to play on? Because either way, he's probably just going to get pantsed.
Yeah. No, that's true. Very, very true.
3 years, okay? So 3 years of that.
Great. Well, let's have a quick chat about this week's game. Port play Richmond this Sunday in Mount Gambier. The Mount. A few changes to the squad. Robbie Gray comes back, Jake Need comes back, Darcy Byrne-Jones, Will Snelling, and first-year player Willem Drew come in, whilst Brad Ebert and Aaron Young are rested this week. What do we want to see from Port on Sunday?
Willem Drew. I want to see Willem Drew from Ports.
It's about time we had a ranger out there, to be honest.
Yep. So disappointed by Mitch Harvey. He's not representing me and my kind well enough. So, look, Willem Drew, hell yeah, man. If he's a big, tough inside midfielder, I think a lot of people around the forums have been really excited about him. So, look, he's the guy. Him and Atley are two guys who I want to see more of because they're the sort of supposed plug-and-play types that we want to just inject into our midfield. So, Drew...
For sure.
And just for the team, just some more sharpness. I hope it was just more of a first pre-season hit out that we were dropping so many marks and missing so many kicks.
Yeah.
Just a bit more sharpness for the boys would be good.
Nice, certainly some cleaner skills out there. Some sort of general idea of playing the game of football would be nice. Especially considering we've got around one game not that far away. That'd be great. And look, Richmond, I'm not really too sure what to expect from them. They played reasonably well against the Crows. They were able to shut down their run pretty significantly as the game wore on. And like the way that the forward lines sort of work together as well. So I think it's going to be an easy game. Probably a similar sort of match-up, I guess, as it was against St Kilda. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Willem Drew come in and play. It will be great to see Will Snelling play as well. I'm expecting big things from him this year.
Yep.
And also to see Joe Atley and Sam Powell-Pepper play again. It's going to be good to get some minutes into those young players.
Just keep reeling off those inside midfielders. I want to see just completely tear it up.
That's it. It's
I'm
the
sick
new
of
era.
our guys getting bowled off the ball, except for Robbie Gray and Ollie Wines. It'll be good to see some new guys in there.
Absolutely.
I didn't watch the Richmond Adelaide game, so I haven't really seen what they're doing. But Hardwick's still there, so I'm expecting that they'll still be pretty flaky. And
yeah, look, there were times when the Crows really cut through them pretty easy, and they kicked a few goals in quick succession. And look, some of their ball movement was a little bit off, and lots of kicking sideways and sort of short kicks, and they tried to run it at times. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Just classic Richmond, I think, really. And yeah, I'm not sure what to expect from them this year.
Hopefully, wooden spoon. I'm happy to see Richmond fail at every corner. Can't stand them. Can't stand their fans.
Fair enough.
All their players.
Fair enough. I think, a lot of people feel the same.
Although, look, I don't know, either of our games, it's like you say, you can't really take that much out of pre-season at the same time. As I'm just checking the scores now, Brisbane are beating the Bulldogs by what looks like 6 goals. So
there you go.
It's hard to...
Dogs are playing their reserves, obviously.
Look, their depth is so big, and I still don't know the names of half their players. It looks like a bit of a reserve team.
Yeah.
Brisbane, I assume, doesn't have a reserves team. It's just one big
got about 3 decent players on their list
of duds. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I think we'll leave it there for this evening, mate. Thanks for coming on at short notice.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hopefully, next time Rick doesn't muck up the time zones and can actually make it on.
Yeah, that'd be good, Rick.
I hope you hear this, Rick.
That's it.
God damn.
All right. Until next time, Can't the pair.
Thanks for having me on. Can't the pair.
Cheers, buddy.
One last hurrah. Loads up. They need a mark and then a goal. Westhoff almost. Motlop couldn't quite. Enright. Good tackle. Cassisi to win it. Cassisi does win it.